Good evening and welcome to the ordinary full council meeting at Stanley Town Council on the 27th of January 2026. We move straight into the agenda. Item 1 is housekeeping, and everyone please make silence their phones. We are not expecting a fire drill this evening, but if there isn't one, it's obviously straight out the door and leave as quickly as possible. We move to tonight's agenda is slightly different. We move into apologies for absence.
We have 4 apologies for absence this evening. We've got Christine Brown, Linda Elliott, Mark Hall because of ill health, and James Payne due to work commitments.
And all accept those apologies?
Yeah.
Thank you. We move on to item 3. It is a reminder of section 106 under 4.8 of the finance regulations statutory obligation. Any member with council tax unpaid for more than 2 months is prohibited from voting on budget or precept by section 106 of the Local Government Finance Act 1992 and must disclose at the start of this meeting that section, the 106, applies to them. Are there any members wishing to disclose? Thank you. We move on to item 4, declarations of interest. Are any members wishing to declare an interest?
Chair, just the finance portfolio at Durham County Capital.
Thank you. I have just a couple of announcements. It's already the end of January and Christmas and New Year has gone, and we're into what's going to be another very quick year by the looks of it. I know it's the beginning of January and now it's nearly the end. I'd like to thank every member of staff in Stanley Town Council for everything they did over the Christmas period. It's really difficult, and we still do a lot of work over Christmas. And I would like to put it on notice that I do thank every member of staff for the work they did. My only other comment this evening is, and I will see this now, robust debate is part of the democratic process. But I would ask members to respect the views of others, not to point fingers during debate. I would also remind members that it's not appropriate to shout at the councillors across the floor during debate. And I would ask members to go through the chamber. We move on to item 6, the update from the Chief Officer.
Well, it's my first meeting because I didn't make the January meeting, so we did have quite a few things in December. Obviously, we had our Christmas event, which was really well attended. Almost 2,500 people attended. We worked in partnership with Durham County Council, with Carbon Homes, with New Writing Normal, with other organisations, and I thought that would be a really successful way to do it. So hopefully that continues. Carol service at Tanfield was absolutely beautiful, really well attended. My rotary reading, but everybody else was fantastic. We've continued with the Stanley Front Street Partnership, working together with Carbon Homes. You have an event which was the Celebrating Family of Durham Academy, which Christine was there, and it's there. It's a really lovely event. There was a planning a public consultation for planning development that we supported. And the other really good meeting I had this week is about the UK Town of Culture, the expression of interest. So I met with colleagues and we'll be setting up the first meeting to look at how we do the expression of interest. It's the very first stage. It's got to be on the 31st of March. But I think it's a really important thing that we try and do positive things. It's very difficult. Obviously, budgets are tight. But this is something that could really galvanise that community support in everyday Stanley. So I think that's an important area. There's a couple of other things really just to mention. Apologies to Christine Blatchford. I had misunderstood. I was meant to message her about taking Karen Alston's place on the Event and Communities Committee. So apologies for that, Christine. But if you're agreeing to to be a member, we'll limit that. That's okay. So thank you for that. We also there's going to be 150th anniversary event for St Andrew's Church later this year, and it's just really to ask if we can all support that. If everybody's happy to support that, that would be really positive.
So everyone in agreement?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the last thing is, now you could support this in lots of ways, but Stanley are going to set up one of the park runs. So I think we'd like to see us all there on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock.
What were your shorts on?
With your shorts on. Well, you don't have to wear shorts. You can wear whatever you like. But I think it would be a really lovely thing if the town council could support that and sort of make sure we share that and so for people to attend. And I think it's really nice. We'll send out, yeah. I think they're normally on a weekend morning.
Just to be absolutely January if there's something in June, I've never heard.
Yeah. So, well, the Stanley Park Run hopefully will be a weekly event if they get it set up. So you can go every week, Brian.
No way.
But I think it would be nice if we could agree to support that as a town council, because it's important for people to spend time outdoors and you support it whichever way you like. And that's everything from me. Thank you.
I did hear that it was people to my right who will be doing the running. I mentioned that. No. I was agreed that people who were sitting to my right would be I'm subsidised. We move on to item 7, which is public participation. Is there any questions you'd like to ask this evening?
No question, but I can make it forward if it's okay.
That's fine, yes.
I'm here, as you know, I'm here because I raised a point around the flags that were raised last year. While time has moved on, some of the flags have gone down, it's still an active issue for us to flag them up. While I'm not just one voice, one person, there are people listening to your constituents who aren't happy still with those flags. I appreciate when that's done, for questions. I just hope it doesn't get buried. And then every other important issue you deal with, because this is still an active, important issue.
Okay. We sent a update, a following update.
Yes.
So we move on to item 8, the confirmation of the minutes. So can we approve attachment A? The meeting held on the 25th of November 2025. All agreed?
Yeah.
To approve as a true record attachment B, which was the extraordinary meeting on the 15th of December 2025. And all agree? We move on to item 9, we see the committee minutes, attachment C. To receive a note of the minutes for the following committees, so Finance and General Services, the 11th of November. And Finance and General Services, the 9th of December. Thank you. We move on to item 10, accounts and bank reconciliation. So we have D, E, and F, which are for November. I'll move it with take them as a true record. And we'll move on to December 2025 for payments, which is J, H, and I. And we'll do those. Is that answer? And then the one that is obviously missing from there, which is the planning, that was the extraordinary planning meeting that we had, and we agreed those minutes. So thank you. We're going to move on to item 11, update from county councillors. So I've got a few, just with regards to the portfolio. So as portfolio holder, we are supporting the portfolio as well. And because Christine and Dave Walton are the ward councillors, they think so. Christine's really, yeah.
So Christine.
Yes. The town of culture. So what we are doing is council is supporting in principle, because obviously if we do support the town, we can only support one. So far we've had Bishop Auckland and Stanley, but there may be others that are coming. I'm not sure when the deadline is. I think it might be next year. Not entirely sure when the deadline
It's
is.
March for the question papers.
March. So there might be more on the pipeline. There's no change to Carol's theory about the disabled parking on Scott Street, but that will be included in the strategic phase plan that's taken place to have a look at all of the parking around Stanley. The parking at the Clifford Road Centre, where the Wildlands is, managed to get an increase from 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Christine is looking to reopen the Shield Road community room, used as a little community club. So that's on board at the moment. Councillor Cook attended the South Road Together Christmas switch on at the Haven. It's really well attended, wasn't it? And I myself attended the Christmas market with my family as well, so I was at the Stanley Christmas market. Yes, thank you. We move on to item 12, which is planning applications. The delegate lists have been sent out, and we resolve receipt of those applications. There are no more objections to be submitted. I'm assuming anyone can go forward any. So if you do, obviously, you get your plan, you bring it forward, and then we have a meeting. We move on to item 13, which is policy renewals and amendments. So this is J, K, L, and M. Sorry, J, K, and L. And we all agree on that? Yes.
I did find out when he was slightly amended, the content policy, the informal constraint section on prayer, where because it references the reason done. You need to change that one. So we, it's like learning change for each change.
And we all agree with that amendment? Yes. Thank you. We move on to item 14, which is the budget. Action M. And the report of the church. We're starting the introduction to speak. Obviously, it has been extremely difficult and deal with some of the things. As the chair of finance, I feel that what just need to see it if that's okay with everybody. Our finance officer has worked tirelessly to deliver a 0% budget, which was prepared in November 2025 in time for our 26-27 budget setting. However, there has been a decision now made by Durham County Council to cut our grant with immediate effect. That all at this time, and our energy getting to this point was wasted. Stanley Town Council will continue to provide services and events for residents despite severe budget cuts. The council is currently trying to finalise our budget to ensure its comprehensive calendar of free events, award-winning environmental services and public safety programmes, continuing despite cuts of over £111,000 following the county council decision to slash the funding for town and council parishes.
The move, which represents a 10% cut in our annual budget, has forced the town council into increasing its precept for the forthcoming year. And obviously the suggestion, which hasn't yet been passed, is 4.99, equating to approximately £122 per resident for a month for a Band D house. The decision to slash town and parish councils funding by joint county councils current in situ reform could plunge thousands into poverty and tax arrears whilst further intensifying degradation across our county. Stanley Town Council must find savings of almost £49,000 in 2026, whilst it already copes with an additional yearly bill of £100,000 to manage 140,000 allotments at 31 sites, which were also handed over by the previous administration to Durham County Council in 2024 without any additional support. However, the council remains committed to delivering Stanley's community despite the financial pressures. It is one of many town councils absorbing significant reductions from the local council tax reduction scheme. This has been the most difficult budget that this council has ever had to agree. There are real concerns that the council's decision to reduce its contribution to town and parish council whilst increasing its own council tax demand will plunge families into poverty and exacerbate problems for those already struggling. We sympathise with our residents who are being asked to find more money in more difficult times, but would like them to rest assured that Stanley Town Council will continue to deliver huge benefit to our environment, to vulnerable people, to youngsters and communities in general. We will do all we can to deliver support and support our people and the communities that live in it. Obviously, if anybody has any other things that we wish to add to that, or have any other things that you think we can do to not use the precept, then it would be good to hear.
So have you used example D, Band D?
Yeah.
How many houses are in Band D and how many houses are in Band E?
We do actually usually, but there is more people in Band A, but Band D countrywide is the band that is used when discussing precepts by the financial organisations.
I just want to clarify some questions. You mentioned 111 that did deficit. When I looked at BCC, it was only 75k. So where is the discrepancy between the two?
There was there's extra houses that have added to it. So the money we're going to lose, but it's over 2 years. We were already looking to lose, but we have to lose then 50,000 this year, which would be the 4.99.
Right.
That's what that would do. That would purely just replace that cut.
Right. The other thing was you said that the increase in DCC council tax that was not being set at the minute, but it's looking very much like it's going to be 3.1%, which is not an increase, it's a decrease. So I'm trying to understand, appreciate that by the houses, I'm trying to understand the discrepancy. Why are Durham County Council not taking in the account those houses? That may be a question.
No, they do. They are in account.
Well, if they're taking in the account, there's a big deficit there between 75 and 111.
111 is over 2 years. This year is the nearly 30,000. They would have to find this year, which is the 4.99.
Well, no question that in council. I need to tell you comfortable with it. No, I'm not going saying it's wrong. I'm not saying anything. I'm not comfortable with the discrepancy. That's very good.
Yeah.
Regarding Brian, if you want me, I think you've answered it. You said you were raising the current taxes. If you take that 3.1%,
That's the plan.
that's the plan. Does that include the 2% for adult social care fees?
That's perhaps done. You can answer it.
Yeah, we'll do, yeah.
Good, no, on top.
It's not
The 2%, it's not the 2% that's going to go on top.
No, but as Brian says, all that's not.
That's a good work.
Yeah.
There's a good BCC council tomorrow. I think it's the 17th, but
Yeah.
17th or something.
Any questions?
So what figure are we going to increase this?
To stand still would be 4.9.
Last year it was what? 5.8 million.
And what was just increased, so.
All right, read this one, is that not a percentage?
So. No, not from percentage, I think with the 5.1 is how much it's going to be.
Okay, right, sorry, okay, it's no, it's a little bit of information. Don't take me time to day, Josh.
Well, no, that's what we're here for, to discuss and try and understand how we arrive at when we arrive.
Okay. So the proposal is that we increase council tax by 4.99. So to just a certain with me.
Doesn't sit well with you, I don't guess that much. When PCC, looking at 300.
So the court, we did have a budget set for zero already in November, but unfortunately, because of the cut to the grant, so for this year it's 50,000. That 4.99 is purely just replaces that.
If we did something other Stanley, other reserves, do we need this higher reserves? Do we spend this much?
We are using that was the reason reserves.
So how much of the reserves do we use?
But that's using reserves. That's purely just replacing that money. We haven't had time, Brian, to really sort of
appreciate that word, which I think it's a very all budgets. Increases are always difficult to set. I'm just trying to look out in my view, but I like to hear the county council say 3.1 and my little parish council say 4.99. Big gap. I'd like to know the reason.
Well, the reason is, I think, because if we were planning obviously the grant was going longer term, which we were planning for, but because it was only sort of announced, I think it was it November?
This was not in no chair, if I may, that grant was going to come to an end. It was proposed within the budget in NTFP that would come to an end. So I assume there was some form of prudence to prepare for that eventuality.
Yes, there was.
Yes, there was. We were over a 3-year period.
Yes.
Yeah.
Immediately, so we had figured stuff in over the next 3 years. It's now come all together. It's going to be.
And we as a local authority were also told that we would receive a fair funding formula, and actually £50 million from the Labour government only actually closed the gap on our SEND deficit. So we're struggling as an authority. And this grant is something that isn't common in the rest of the country. Town and parish councils elsewhere can't rely on such a grant. It's just worth putting that on record.
And that's true, but telling the parish councils that has been granted for as long as that year. So it became common practice. It may not be in the rest of the country, but it was common practice in Pennington.
Well, obviously, and that's fine, and totally take on board everything that we've said down, and we had prepared for the 3-year period, not for it to just disappear. And until we realised that, we had managed to do a 0% budget, and in the finance we had worked really well and really hard to get the 0 budget. And then unfortunately, when this is fallen on us, like you're saying, your 50 million only plugs your our 400 million only plugs ours. So it's unfortunate. Yeah. It's a catalogue of reasons that have put us into this.
All the things we're making the CC and stuff and the same just to absorb everything we see right on the incinerator and whatnot. It's absorbable. I mean, you would not believe the taxi cost prices %. Sure.
We need to have a conversation after this. I'm the chair of governance in the school, and I'm vice chair of governance in health and special schools. And I have to say, we need to have a conversation. We've got meetings with all schools, so
yeah. And they actually agree with everything Brian's just said, so I find that odd chair to
I can give you some
Okay.
information.
If there's information that will reduce taxing costs, I'm all for it.
Jen, we've got, sorry,
I mean, we accept the neutral rate of 4.997.
and I'll second it. Thank you. We'll have a show of hands.
It's not an import.
You can have any input, yes, Brian? Yes, sorry. Can we have a show of hands? All those in favour of 4.99?
No.
Well, we're not in favour of it. It needs to be
No,
known, we're not in favour of it because we had done a zero.
Yes.
Or unfortunately, we're being forced into this position. Or I feel I'm being forced into this.
Yeah.
position.
All those against? Thank you. The motion is passed. So the council precept will be an increase of 4.99. We move on to item 15, the budget working group. How many do you want to declare this? Make the recommendation, please.
So at the last Finance and General Purposes Committee, obviously in view of what we just had to do, which was very uncomfortable, it has been recommended that we set up a working group to look at the budgets for the council, obviously for the next year and for the next 2-3 years, and go through every single item on our budget, from our staff to our events to absolutely every single spend that we spend. We're through it with an absolute tooth comb and see where savings can be made and innocent. Look at that. So to get us into a better position for next year. So it is recommended that we set up a working group. And obviously, like all of our groups, we would like them to bring the link. Meet as and when required, but probably quite a lot to start with.
Is it a work group or?
It will be a working group, but it will be everything will have to go to finance and then to full council.
So it's not a task and final.
It's not at this point. It's not a task and finish because we obviously wanted to go on for quite some time. And we might not get everything that we want to get done in a short time. That's why we don't want it to be a task and finish. So obviously we're looking for people that would like to be on that, to go through. And as I say, like all our groups, we would like a political balance on there. We want everybody's value. And I personally, as the current chair of finance, value everybody's input into how changes can be seen and made. It's all and we prove that we do this, and of people wanting, I take that people wouldn't want to see it necessarily this evening, they might want to check diaries, etc. But I think the other thing can be sent out for people to respond to see it. One of that is the thing to be there. We're a little bit high, we're a little bit 7. I think it would be. Everybody on the council doesn't want to be on it, I take it. But if everybody on the council did want to be on it, well then fair enough, but if they don't, so do we look at 5, do we look at 7? So we think, do we say 7 and then if anybody can't attend, then you've got more chance of people still remaining for it?
There's 5 for substitutes.
Well, they want 5 for the 7. Okay. Okay, what do people think?
It's a, without saying, with, it's right for, one of the 7 can't then, but you've got to substitute into this. What can only take you on the 7,
Are we all agreed on that?
and that's quite partly for the.
Are we all agreed on that?
Yep.
Thank you. If you would like to send your name to.
Yeah, then we'll start with 10. I'm just going to say Nicola Lyons, also Lyons, has offered to come in. She is portfolio holder for the town of Parish. She's offered to come in and speak with you if you wish. Speak with me or speak with
Speak with
you?
me.
Well, as I was saying,
Do
more
you
like
look at
to say
parish councils or anything?
About finance or what?
yes, about the budget.
About the budget. That's up to the council. That's up to the members here. Do members here want council lines to put in on?
Is. It's good, when you give the direct input from, the portfolio holding for the council, parish council, can plan policies, or the other budget for separate mechanisms.
Sorry, can I just, sorry, Brad. Can I just input there, we have a NAMP meeting, which was what way round assumed that would have come.
This will come to you anyway, yeah, that will come to you. So it's just someone there that can speak.
Yeah, but
Sorry, I'm not.
at the NAMP meeting, that's what I was saying. I would have assumed Nicola would have gone to the NAMP meeting and then
No, yes, you would.
that would then be relayed back to the town council.
I would assume that would do exactly the same thing with Susan.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, Brad.
No, just saying that would this lady be advising us on how to save money? Is that what it's all about?
No, time correctly about it, no, I think it's, just to give you an overview of how the council is set for budget.
No,
No?
so she could possibly just meet with Morgie and possibly Jane, I don't know, and go through your budget to see where you can save money, which is what she's been doing with the other parishes. Apparently that reached out to her. Now reaching out to the parishes that haven't reached out, she's now reaching out to them. So she just asked about mentioning it tonight. It just would be wished. Yeah.
The name, I can't think of find it out because she attends an out meeting for the representative. Usually that the town council, or they, it just doesn't seem. It's duplicated stuff, so it's, so I don't take any benefit, it's only down to the company trustees and.
But personally, this is the current chair of finance, if Nicola has got some fantastic ideas and can come and guide us or guide me into how we should be doing things better, I would welcome that to be with me on.
Just sort of follow on from this point about duplication. If the person feels as though it would be offering something different than she's providing to now things. And then if it is something different, it's not duplication, but if it is basically the same thing that we're already getting through that meeting, it seems like it's not a good use of her time.
So simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay? Excellent.
Who else wants to ask a question on that? We move on to item 16, political balance. Obviously there is no trust character on arsenal events and from religious finance and general services events. Community engagement and allotment committees. Members to approve a replacement member. So we do. Christine, are you replacing All of them, or just one of them?
And then just the events.
Just the events.
Along with it.
Yeah. So we need a replacement for the finance and general purposes and allotments. No, we don't. For the allowance, we need to. But I thought, sorry, I thought Margie was gonna have finance, whether you needed things for finance.
Yeah, we do. It's recommended that it happens for times to make sure that all the fees are paid, otherwise it's difficult. So if there is somebody that can,
If you have to look at also how many councillors are in here in one part and in three parts.
well, it depends on how many members you have. So obviously on the events and communities committee, we've got John and Janelle and Christine, and we've got Lee Allison. So it depends on the numbers. Obviously, both councils are different to everybody. It depends on the number of people on the committee to how the balance is made up. It's got to be representative with the calculation. So it's obviously where there's been somebody come off, if it's a one councillor, the preference would be to put somebody else, otherwise it's a couple of votes there.
I can do finance though.
You can do finance.
We just feel like we need to put. Do you want to discuss that after stage and what I can quite wants to join?
I don't know. I think that is to do with one without. It's just I think the preference is when you're looking at the sort of guidance from government is to have the political representation, just to make sure that everybody has a voice heard. And obviously because there's small groups, then only two of you, so then there's only one person. There's nobody that is able to those sort of commitments. Then if this is on, so I think Christine's already on the allotment, so we have to keep that. Rest of the group, that's I mean.
So we'll leave that one in the bins until we can make a decision that we want no one. Then we move on to item 17, the transfer of statutory allotment sites. Then Mr. Note and Building update.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick note. Following the resolution of Stanley Town Council's full council meeting on the 18th of November 2025, where it was agreed in principle to proceed with the transfer of the statutory allotment sites identified in the red line drawings from Durham Council to Stanley Town Council. It was to agree in principle, but with conditions. From this, I spoke with Durham County Council and I've received a confirming email from Ian Holt that they understand that this approval is subject to the caveat that Durham County Council will continue to provide assistance, support and completion of any agreed work streams between the two authorities until these work streams are fully completed, even if the legal transfer of allotment sites has been finalised. To confirm, corporate property land team will remain responsible to deliver the following commitments: provision of fit for purpose agreements and clarification of compound areas included in the transfer, supply of accurate details and tenancy records for garages being transferred, completion of any outstanding investigation the businesses operating within the allotment sites, ensuring compliance with update agreements and site details. And it also includes the allotment teams will provide location lists for invasive weeds and completion of agreed treatment works. So they've agreed to all our conditions to continue the legal transfer and get that moving forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I don't know any questions anyone wishes to ask on that. Thank you, James. We move on to item 18. This is an events update. Council will promote reporting of business and the review of the 2025 events schedule attachment. Just on the report citation got, those are appendices. Following this meeting, I will send them out. It is about Martin's lost. Please do read it. It's really important. It's coming in. So that will affect how we do events going forward from this year. It's got 24-month period, but it is good to start getting that in practice. Do you have any questions or any community groups that you know who might want some support with it? I'm having in my direction. I want something more about them, but I can help where I can. Any questions on that?
I just move that we note it.
Anyone agree?
Yeah.
Thank you. We move on to item 18. This is the date and time and venue of the next meeting. It will be Tuesday, the 24th of February, 2026, 6:30, not 3:30. And the Green has, thank you for that. We move straight on to item 20, which is the exclusion of the press and public to resolve that under the Public Forums Admissions Agreements Act 1960, the public and representatives of the press and broadcasting media be excluded from the meeting during consideration of the following items of business as publicity would be prejudicial to the public interest due to the confidential nature of the business to be transacted.